was that it was really nice to have this experience of people were kind of stationed throughout the galleries, maybe by a piece they really enjoyed, or maybe they just kind of wandered around. And they were able to just kind of notice that we were looking really closely at a certain piece, or if we looked confused, they kind of asked us about it. And so we were able to still kind of do our own thing, but get some really interesting information.
Just having been in England and lots of the historic preservation houses, you know, the castles, they pretty much had a guide, they called them guides, in every room, who would answer questions and knew all the appropriate stories about back when. And some of them were historical, based on who had lived there, and some of them were artistic, based on the kind of art they had.
Cool.
And it was fun to talk to those people.
Nice.
So
it wasn't just security.
No,
because a lot of those places have somebody.
Yeah, I know, but I think these people doubles that, because they were all retired people, essentially, all older, felt right at home with them, you know. You know, but that's how I found the Northcotes. I went, oh my God, that's a Northcote. And I went over and I started asking her, and we started looking and going through the literature and found that there were 6 of them. And we walked around and we looked at every one and said, oh yeah, and I tried to take pictures, but she didn't really work. But, you know, that was fun because she got into the fact that I was into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we are definitely revitalizing the Gallery Guide program, and our department wants to be there for anyone who's interested in either becoming a gallery guide or revisit what it means to be a gallery guide. Some of you maybe went through the gallery guide training that happened in 2011, but have since been wondering what it all means. So I have a little sheet that I'll leave, or we can pass around at the end. If you're interested in becoming a gallery guide, or if you are a gallery guide but kind of want to have a discussion about you know, making sure that you feel really comfortable in the galleries and ways to maybe schedule being a gallery guide. So I have that, but Amy's going to talk a little bit more about gallery guide and examples and maybe some modeling.
Yeah, let's go into the Conservation Gallery exhibit, which is what we used to have as the American Bison Gallery. Meet me there, please. Types of experiences in museum locations. So just an informal survey, raise your hand if you have recently been on and like to go on sort of formalized tours, either docent, whatever they call them in the spaces that you've been, but where they've started at a particular time, you know, in the museum or historical center that you've been on. You go on those docent tours and you say, yep, there's you read the ad in the paper, or you go on their website and you find out that there is a tour happening at a certain time, and you make an effort to be there at that time, or you schedule your museum experience to include that kind of experience at their galleries or their historical site. Everybody? Yeah? Doesn't matter, just that you can remember it, you know? You have some memory. And that you'd like it. If you're going to travel, you might do that again. That that's one of the ways that you as a visitor experience the museums that you visit during your travels, is to go on that type of tour. So then, same kind of thing, just a physical survey, try to remember and conjure up in your own imagination the times that you have gone, you've shown up at a historical site or a museum, and there hasn't been a tour, but you have encountered either staff or volunteer who's been available to you in a less formal capacity to answer questions that you have, to, you know, sort of help you get to know the collection or the space. Everybody had that experience as well? So you all, when whatever role you decide to take on in our galleries, are an extension of the Education and Exhibits Department, right? There are 3 of us. you make it so that our visitors can always, if they choose to, have an experience of our galleries that includes a live interpretive experience, right? And so, yes, we love those formalized opportunities that people have. A docent-led tour. Either they're part of a large group and they request a docent or 2 or 5, depending on how big their group is, and that group of people is choosing or electing to have a formal tour through the galleries. You know about it ahead of time. You've made a plan, right? You've mapped out your route. You've decided what objects, what exhibits you're going to share with them, maybe the length of time that you're going to spend with them. Those are fantastic. Lots of people want that kind of experience. We want to have both. We want to be able to offer a variety of ways to explore our collection, a variety of ways to get to know the exhibitions that we have, both temporary and permanent. We want to offer a diverse experience. We want to be able to meet the needs of everybody's styles when they come in. I am one of those museum goers who never opts for a formalized tour. I will sometimes take advantage of, the opportunity to ask somebody a question, but I never plan my museum visit around a 2 o'clock tour that happens in a very formal way. So we just know that there are all kinds of visitors out there who want to access our collection and our exhibitions in a variety of ways. And we want to be able to meet those needs no matter what they are. So what we're calling a gallery guide is an informal learning guide, right? Anybody know what docent means and where it comes from? Here's a quiz, Bobby. To teach. Good. Greek, to teach, right? So
it's Latin. It means to.
Is it Latin?
It means to follow or to direct.
Direct, right? It's this very sort of formal, active. You have some sort of didactic capacity, right? You possess knowledge, and you're going to deliver it and share it with an audience, with your students, with whoever you're spending time with. It has this very formal meaning. So informal learning is happening all the time as well, and all of our visitors are showing up in our galleries with their own meanings, their own experiences, their own context. And so being a gallery guide is a way to meet them at that place where they are, and more casually, more informally, sort of on demand, provide a less sort of didactic, less directed experience in the galleries. Answer their questions, ask them some questions, get to know them, figure out where they've been to most recently before they've come here. Watch them be available to them when they get excited about an object that they see and might want to know a little bit more about. So on the one hand, it's this informal way to meet the needs of our visitors. As Carter said, if you're training to be a docent, yes, there's an expectation. We have a checklist, we have a fairly rigorous process by which to train to become a docent in this more formal, directed kind of way. Being a gallery guide gives you a different way if you don't feel like going through that more rigorous process, but you are interested in being in the galleries and serving as a guide for our visitors. This is a great opportunity because I think that is a way for you to be a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit more flexible. You don't have to come up with a thematic tour. You don't have to have comprehensive knowledge and information about our collection. You could get to know one exhibit that you really want to learn more about, learn about those objects, and be available and ready to answer questions and converse with visitors just in that one gallery. Right? So it does seem to me to be a nice, in addition to being a nice offering for our visitors, it's nice for those of you as well who may not have the interest or the time to train to go through the entire docent training process, and but you really are willing and interested in being in the galleries and serving our visitors in that way. Right? did anybody participate in the 2011 training that Amy St. Pierre and I led? Gallery guide training, yeah.
Who remembers?
Were, I know. Well, we did go through some sort of museum education pedagogy that you could use, right? Some philosophical foundations for the ways people learn, and therefore the ways that those of us who are working professionally in the field are thinking about the way we engage with visitors. So I have all that material. We'd be happy to provide it. You know, if you want a sort of more philosophical, theory-based approach to this. But I thought today we could just practice a little bit and again get to model and practice on each other the ways to do this, because I know on the one hand, for those of you who've worked with me over the years, either in youth ed probably, there's some comfort in having a script, right? There's some comfort in having a plan. And you know from the outset what you want to say, the objects that you want to stop at, the information that you feel really in control of and knowledgeable about, and that's valuable and it's comfortable, and you have a certain level of control over that, so that when you meet the guests in the lobby, you can confidently take them on a 60-minute tour, and you know where you're going to stop, and you know what you're going to say, and you've planned for it, you've prepared for it. On the other hand, this might be a little bit scary, a little bit frightening, because it is much more spontaneous. You don't have a script. This is asking you, inviting you to be a little bit more relaxed, to be okay with the fact that you don't have to know all there is to know about the collection, about what's up in any given exhibit, about particular objects, that you are having a conversation with visitors, during which time you might say, you know, I don't know. Are you going to be here for a few minutes? I will go look that up for you and I'll come back. Or, cool, I have an iPad right here, let's look that up. You know, how many Northcotts are there? I was just at this really cool historical site in England. I saw works of art by this same artist. I wonder what else he made. You don't have to know that, right? You can say, gosh, I know a little bit about this piece because it's been in our collection for a while. I can tell you about this piece, and then, you know, if you give me a few minutes, I'll be back. I'll go look something up and come back. So there's certainly a need to release some control, to let go of that knowing of yourself or thinking of yourself as the all-knowing docent. You know, you can learn about the collection and the objects in a certain exhibition at your own pace, and whenever you're ready to be out there and responsive. It's a much more sort of responsive way of meeting the needs of our visitors than it is in an active way. But equally valuable. They're both, we want to be giving our visitors anything they want. And lots of them are going to choose this informal way of experiencing, you know, sort of a guided tour. And Susan it's so great that you're here and that you do this. You know, you pick a time, you come, you're ready to just be wandering in the galleries. And sometimes she knows that there are 2 people here, and is totally willing to converse with them if they want to, if they're, you know, looking for a person to visit with. And so that flexibility is really, really valuable to us. In addition to those times when you know you're going to work with a talk tour that's here, you know, at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, and they have 50 people with them. So these are both equally important and valuable sides of visitor services for us. Shall we go practice a little bit? Questions, comments?
Yeah, Bobby and I were just talking about how when I first started, the gallery guides were scheduled morning and afternoon. They had 2-hour slots. That's how I learned, you know, how I studied. That was my study time. So,
good. Yeah, and you could certainly do that. I mean, that's essentially what Susan does. Like, I'm going to be here from, what time do you come on Tuesdays?
10 to 12.
You know, I'm here for 2 hours. What we have found, and you know, this may flex over time, but our visitation is so very different from places that are in more urban environments where they can list on their website or in print media. you know, there's going to be a person here every day from 10 to 2. We don't have that in our volunteer capacity. We can't advertise on the website that it's guaranteed that somebody's going to be here every day from 10 to 12 or 12 to 2. And we have experimented, that many of you remember, that Amy St. Pierre did experiment with that. Let's put a sign in the lobby that says, you know, somebody's here now. And it just, it's going to be freer and more, we're going to be more available to meet the needs of our visitors. If you choose a day of the week and you're here from whenever, 1 to 4, 10 to 11, doesn't matter. There you are, and those folks who don't want to take an audio wand are going to have you available to them. And if you're not, and if there aren't any visitors here, then great. You get to wander around and do your own research and get to and increase your capacity to be a gallery guide at your own pace.
And we did, at the beginning of last summer, I created that sign-up sheet, and we didn't have many volunteers interested in doing that. So I'm happy to start that sign-up sheet again, and it's certainly nice, especially in peak seasons, to have a consistent idea of someone being in the galleries. But while we want to provide that, we'd love to provide that to visitors, we also are sensitive to your all's schedules, and a lot of the feedback I got was that, I just can't commit to every week. So those of you that are able to do that, we are all for it, and I'll start doing those sign-ups again.
Some of you shared if it wasn't going to work out or
Traded.
traded.
I think the question I'm asked the most is, do you have any art by so-and-so?
Okay.
And if I never heard of them, I would say, I'm not sure, I'll try to find out before you leave. But in the fall, somebody came and said, do you have any art by Lanford Monroe? And they were out in the lobby, and I said yes. And I showed them the two that are up now, and they loved it. And they knew her, and they knew her father, and they ended up sending me a whole bunch of pictures that they own of hers, which are entirely different, of course, than we have here. And that was kind of fun, because quite often we don't have anything by so and and maybe one of their favorite people or something. So it always is a good idea to say, I'll try to find out for you.
And thanks for that. This is an excellent anecdote as well, that because you were willing and flexible to respond to their question and their needs, then you were both able to share stories, right? So that they were constructing meaning with you about our collection. They had a more powerful experience than they would have had if they hadn't visited with you.
And they weren't going to have a tour, and we ended up with a tour an hour and a half later.
Yeah, right, like Susan says too. Yeah, right. Well, I'm that kind of person who says, no, I don't want to go on a tour. No. But I'm happy to wander around here for 90 minutes.
No,
it doesn't feel like a tour.
I should bring those back and put them up in the volunteer office, because they're so different.
Nice.
Than what we have.
That would be nice, Bobby. I'd be interested in looking at
I'll
that.
bring those back. I took them home, but there's 3 copies of each, so they were entirely different.
And the other thing that's true of both Susan's and Bobby's stories here is the power of a story, right? That instead of the basic, sort of more didactic, docent kind of information about here's who this person is, here's where they were from, here's when they were born, here's when we made it, that part of a meaningful experience, it comes through the narrative web of information that you're sharing with each other. So that as you prepare to be a gallery guide, instead of being in possession of all the facts, one way to think about it differently is maybe to come up with, make sure you know some stories. So, some responsive, like, oh, you saw a bear? Cool. We have this really, really fabulous painting of a bear that has a fun story to go along with it. That's a way to deliver information and to still be valuable for their experience, but it's not as formal and it's not as, it's more conversive, maybe, than a tour can be.
I like the story idea.
Yeah, stories are always powerful. People love to have stories about the artist, about a place, about an animal that you have. Let's go practice a little bit, see what stories we can tell each other in the galleries in this more informal way.
Well, wherever. I don't know. Up there? Yeah, maybe Hollister asked if they could come and share some updates and some plans with the volunteers about the capital campaign. So this is really exciting because I know you all love to be informed about it, and I'm glad that you all were thinking of our volunteers. So, thanks for coming.
Of course, you're the lifeblood of the museum, right? Certainly. Well, I'm Lynn. And
I'm Dick
Dick.
Hollister.
We're here. And a lot of you I know, and I just want to personally thank you for your wonderful volunteerism. This is a special museum that's near and dear to our heart, and we really appreciate everything that you do for us. Stanley Marcus said, "Art enhances the quality of people's lives." And I think this museum really exemplifies that. We have some terrific art, we've got a great staff, great volunteers, and a board that cares. So I think we feel very, very blessed. We wanted to share with you today that how we're moving along. I think you know in the wind there are changes coming for the museum architecturally, hopefully new rearranged space in our exhibits, and hopefully a space, another gathering space, and moving the museum store. And so we're working on that. We did earlier this year send out a questionnaire to you, and I want to thank Susan Brooks and Marshall Ackerley, who also volunteered, because we wanted to, what we were looking for was what did the museum mean to you? And did you think people would help support as we moved forward? And loud and clear it came back, and we really, really appreciate it. We just want to, as we go along from development, we want to make sure that we keep you informed of what we are doing. I'm really pleased that Dick has said that he would join me when we start the campaign. And so Dick's going to share a little bit with the...
It was a volunteer experience.
With a strategic review, a little bit, overview.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. This is the first opportunity I've had to come and meet with this group, and I'm a little embarrassed that I've been on the board now just about a year, and it's been a great experience. And reinforce what Lynn just said, I think this is an absolutely spectacular organization, great staff, great volunteers, and a board that's really involved. When I was asked, how much time, when I asked how much time it would take to be a board member, they lied. And we spent a lot of time, but I have to say, Lisa, I wasn't picking on you, although she's the one that lied. It's been a great experience, and as you're well aware, over the last year, the board and the staff have been working on a kind of a review of strategic plan and focusing on a number of areas. And there were 4 areas that we really focused on. One was, how do we strengthen and broaden the museum's financial capability? And coming out of that is a goal that we're going to try and see if we can increase the endowment to $20 million. We're sitting at about 6 now, I think, Jim. And so what do we do? What do we need to do over the next years ahead to get that endowment up to 20 million? Because it has huge implications for the operation and the future of the organization. We've also said we're going to enhance and strengthen the permanent collection and the quality of the exhibition process. And that has, the collections committee and others have really focused on what we need to be doing. How do we grow? How do we exhibit? How do we make the exhibits more meaningful and really impactful? Third thing is we've been creating and delivering a first-class visitor experience to connect people in art. My wife and I last spring did a 5,000-mile, 18 museums and 10-state trip. And of those museums, we had been to one 35 years ago and one about 5 years ago. The rest were all first-time experiences. And so we used it as an opportunity to just what creates a good experience, and then bring that information back here. We came back and we were very pleased that this museum does a lot of things right. It also had some opportunities for improvement and growth. And again, the staff and others have really been taking those seriously and been doing a lot of things. And you've seen changes in the exhibits over the last year from Adam, et cetera. The last is to implement a reallocation of facility space to better support museum operations programs. And we're estimating that it's going to take about $10 million or more to do some of the remodeling and some of the work that needs to be done going forward. But coming out of that strategy session, we've had some outcomes. Lynn's going to...
Well, we are doing a major review. The staff has spent a lot of time. The buildings and grounds are meeting. Steve, I think, has come and talked to you, I hope, about some of the things that are going on. We are hoping, is it in February, Jim, that they are supposed to, the 3 architects that have been chosen, they will be making their presentations. Is that my understanding?
There will be a presentation, a response to a request for proposals from 3 architects, and they'll present that to the facilities committee.
Right. So we'll be, as Dick said, we are going to be implementing a major fundraising campaign, and we hope to involve you. Because we are going to need your help. And Dick is going to talk about building and what's coming down the pike.
Well, it's just, as Lynn just said, Steve has really been taking a lead with the facilities committee, and the board made the decision to expand the facilities committee and bring on that committee some members from the community focus that Lisa is in charge of, and also the development committee, so that we can make sure that we're all looking at what needs to be done. They've been working for the last number of months with Harris Ammons, a firm that looking at space, looking at alternatives, etc. As Lynn just said, Steve has identified 3 local architects that they're working with right now. And we made a decision we wanted to stay local because we really wanted somebody who understood this community, was involved in this community, and knows how to get things done in this community also. So he's working with the 3 architects that they're going to be looking at. How do we price it out? What's it going to cost? What are the alternatives? What works and doesn't work with some of the ideas that we have? I said the pricing, and also what's the construction alternatives? Do we just close the museum down for a period of time? Can we do it in phases, etc.? So there's a lot of work that's going to be done in the weeks and months ahead by the staff and others. Our goal is to be in a position to really, by the May board meeting, May retreat, to really be in a position to say, make some decisions and really get moving.
So we are going to be doing a major campaign, as we've been talking about, and tentatively, I love this, paint the future. I just think it kind of says it all.
She wrote it in pencil.
I wrote it. Yeah,
So much for that.
and so we hope that we can ask you to start talking about exciting things that are coming down the pike. The museum is getting ready to do some major renovations. You, I hope, have seen some of the plans a little bit with moving the museum store, a new sort of entrance, etc. And the team of facilities and grounds will also be working on it. The trustees will be working on it. I'd like to invite you to join with us and keep your ears to the ground. Find out what their hot button is. Maybe it's education. Maybe they're really interested in sculpture or in paintings, just education of any sort with children, and let us know. Donors, leads. I just was sharing with Dick, I've never heard of this company called Uranium One. It's a Canadian company. It has headquarters in Casper, and it's one of the world's largest uranium producers. Never heard of them. But they just happened to sponsor something recently in Wyoming. So keep your ears to the ground. Pontier has departed for new challenges, and Jim has posted her position just for development out on the web in lots and lots of areas. So we are hoping that by March, he's already beginning to receive responses. By March, we'll have a couple of candidates and we can move forward. He's also split development and marketing. So there will be 2 positions. And marketing probably will be local. And we're beginning to focus on the details of the campaign. If you are out and about going to visit grandchildren or whatever, and there's a museum in the area, please stop by, pick up all the literature. Because I'm a great believer in you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's got an idea, you take it, you tailor it to this special place and make it work for us. And we already are off and running with some potential donors for the campaign. So it's an exciting time. We're just waiting for all the things to get in place because we've got donors who are saying, all right, now, what are you going to be doing here? What are you going to be doing there? I'm interested in the education area, etc. And we want to have everything in place with sort of a tentative cost. One of the great things was I had an opportunity to go to visit the Perot Museum of Nature and Science in Dallas. It's one of the newest museums in the United States, and it blew me away. And I'm sorry, Don, but it was women who did it. It is an amazing museum. They were going to have, they were hoping for 1 million visitors a year. Before 6 months was up, they had 1 million visitors. They were hoping for 18,000 members. They are at, 3 months ago, 47,000 members. And it's just an exciting museum, and they sought expertise and were very well organized, and it is a fantastic museum. So if you're in Dallas, go and take a look at it. Is that where the Super Bowl? No, where's the Super Bowl?
New York.
New York. Oh, that's right. Everybody's like buying long underwear.
If you can get over the bridge too.
Yeah, if you can get over the bridge. So we invite your participation. I know you've got friends out there who may, be interested in something. Have you all seen what's coming down the pike with the exhibits for the coming year too? Just keep, we're going to have the Charlie Russell exhibit, which is really great. The Nick Brandt is just going up, and Adam just took us for
A sneak.
oh my golly, and they're just, the mother elephants and their babies. It's amazing. So, and we've got Wednesday evening, bring some friends, come up and have a little something to eat and talk about, the necessity of having this great museum here. It is absolutely marvelous. We've got the Elk Refuge, we've got the two parks, wildlife art galore, and it is important for people to support this entity here. So thank you very much. We'll be back. We'll have definitely more plans when we come back and talk to you. But my email is lf@linfreeze.com. Your email is
rhollister@aol.com.
And if you see anything that you really like, please let us know, because we're in the beginning of the formulation of the campaign. Any ideas you see, we welcome. So thank you for your time.
And do you have any questions, or is there any
yes.
questions or comments? Or
I just want to make sure that it is in terms of the money, financial part, it's 2 parts. First, the endowment from 6 to 20 million.
well, the campaign is going to be multiple aspects to it.
Yes.
Endowment is part of. We've got thing as part of the campaign. We need a new generator for the building, so we're going to be looking at how do we raise some money to make sure we've got a generator. There's a variety of things. So the total plan, we have not put the final dollar figure on that. But our goal is really endowment, enhance our exhibitions, reallocate space, make it much more better. Things, our air conditioning, our climate control. There's a whole series of things that are really being looked in that have got to be part of us raising money to support.
And we're going to bundle it all.
Yeah.
But, there are certain people that are just interested in education and the programs, and we can make things for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
We need a road trip to
Yes.
Texas.
We do need.
We've been
I was
to
going to
Dallas.
say, in the
Now
past,
we go to Dallas.
corporate giving has not been in the forefront. Are you going to push that, I hope?
We will definitely be exploring that. You know, as a community, local community, our local organizations are fairly limited in what they support, and they do certain things, but we're looking at, just as, you know, she's talking about Uranium One, you know, we're starting to look at what are the things beyond just our little community that we could be looking at for support.
What about corporations that are represented by animals, like the Hartford?
That's all of those things we're starting to look at.
Yep.
And give us those ideas.
Yes, Susan, you're great at it.
Provide us the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You know, it's clearly going to have to be a national campaign. It isn't going to be something that's just focused here in Teton County. And, you know, Jim has, as we're looking at the whole issue of a new development director, we've been going out and looking at other organizations and seeing what's taking place and who are, you know, what are the skills, knowledge, and attributes you really need in a development director in today's world. Because fundraising has evolved. It's a different world today than it was 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say to remember everyone that we are the national
Yes.
museum of wildlife in the United States of America, so that we do have a far-reaching.
That's right.
Yes, we do. And that we are hoping that the new development director will have, you know, knowledge more farther afield than just here.
Way more.
Don?
In your, as you go along, it would be very helpful for us when giving tours, if there's something graphical out there that was positioned somewhere in a museum, so that, kind of like in Walmart, you gotta go by it. You know, and whereby it could be an opportunity to be able to stop by and just say, oh, and by the way, this is a capital campaign that's going on, and for any of you who are interested, I can spend more time going through it with you. But that would be very helpful to us as a way to prompt the discussion.
And successful organizations do exactly what you just put out. And that's part of why Linda asking for literature and anything you get, because if we can steal as many good ideas from other people and implement them here, let's do it.
Would you be looking at raising about 40 billion?
We don't have a figure yet. We really don't. But I think you're close when all is said and done.
Yeah.
Right. And I know people go gulp, but it's, we think it's doable. Jim?
Just reminder, this is, we're talking inside the house now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're not going to go public with the amount or the extent of what we're doing or anything. So we can all talk about it inside, and we will, and we're going to do the things like Don is asking for as all the campaign gets rolled out. But there's a silent phase to these things where we want to know that we've got certain things already lined up before we get out on the street with it, and before we're ready to even start to articulate to the broader public what's going on. It's not like it's a complete secret, but we're just not going to go shout it from the rooftops right away. So just that caution.
Yeah, and a very important caution, that successful campaigns through its silent phase will raise anywhere from 1/4 to half of the funds before going public.
Yes.
Yep.
Just a real quick, the name of the museum again in Dallas?
The Perot Museum of Nature and Science.
Thanks.
I have some pictures if anybody wants to see them. I can show them to you all, because I went there after they did.
Yeah, huge.
Field trip.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.